Here today to show you how to clean and take apart a spinning reel, and the second thing we're going to do is we're going to replace and upgrade the reel, the bearings in them with these orange seal ceramic bearings from Boca bearings. These are going to upgrade the reel because they won't rust or corrode. They give you a longer life, especially if you're using it in salt water. What we're going to need for this is obviously your bearings that you're going to upgrade to, a pair of pliers, a Phillips or flathead screwdriver, and high-speed oil from Boca bearings. While ceramic bearings don't need to be oiled, the oil will increase the life and they'll also quiet the bearings down a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and put some oil on them too. So the reel that I'm going to be using today is obviously a spinning reel. It's a Spheros 4000 Shimano, and so we're going to go ahead and take it apart. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is remove this drag tensioner that's on the top of the spool. Just unscrew that all the way, and once you have it all the way off, the spool will just lift off. You go ahead and put that over to the side. We won't need it anymore. And then you'll see this star gear that's on there. That's the clicker for the drag. Just go ahead and it's a tight fit, but they just lift off. You can put those over to the side. And now you see on the bottom there's a weight here to balance it out. We won't need to take that off. But there is a small Phillips screw head on the inside that's holding that nut onto place. So go ahead and remove that. Now before we go any further, take the cap off of the handle here, and turn it backwards, and that'll unscrew the handle. We want to go ahead and remove that. Now you're going to take your pliers and you're going to take that nut off. Go ahead and unscrew it all the way, and that whole arm should lift off. Now later on we're going to go back and we're going to replace the smallest bearing is going to be here, and the roller bearing. We're going to want to take off the 3 stainless screws that are around there. Notice there's 2 black here, and those hold together the anti-reverse bearings. You do not want to take those off. Put those over to the side. Once you have these removed, the anti-reverse bearing lifts off. We won't need that. And we're got it down to just the housing here. We're going to want to take this apart using these 3 screws that are on the inside of the frame. You will notice when you take these apart that there will be 2 different links with them. And you want to make sure that you pay attention to that when you take it apart. And you might already notice that we have one bearing right here. Take one of these bearings from Boca bearings. You get these at www.bocabearings.com. I'm using Boca bearings high-speed oil. It comes in a nice little syringe here. Makes it easy. We'll let that soak in. It's important when we take this reel apart, our fingers are going to touch a lot of the components in the reel. We want to make sure that we reapply that grease before we put it back together. Remove this piece off the top of the spool handle. And you want to remove that worm gear there, and that also has a bearing on top of it too. So we'll go ahead and replace that while we have it out. That just slides right off the top of it. Take your orange seal bearing and slide that over. We'll put a drop of oil on that. Let that soak in. Move this piece over to the side there, and that gear should just pop out of there. Now from here what we're going to want to do is there's 2 small screws on this arm that connect it down. Remove both of those, and again these are 2 different sizes. And this arm should just lift right out of there. This piece is going to come out. And now we're going to remove this gear. You might need to take a pair of pliers and grab it right on that raised area and wiggle it just a little bit to get it out. Now you notice in this reel they don't have a bearing at this side here. They just have a bushing. This is not as smooth as having two bearings on either side. So we're going to replace this with another of the orange seal Boca bearings and upgrade the reel. This can be removed by the same way we took the other one out. Just push that up. They're the same size as we put into the other side there. So we got that out. And make sure that you put that in evenly both ways. It should just slide down there and be flush. We're going to put another drop of oil on there. Alright, now that we got those three bearings replaced, we're going to go ahead and put the reel back together just the same way we took it apart. The first piece is going to be this gear. Slide that down there. The arm piece here notice it has indentations on the bottom of it. That's going to line up with that little knob that you use to get that gear out. Take your arm and slide that back down into place. And replace the two screws. Make sure you don't over tighten any of these screws, they just need to be snug. Now if you open your reel up for the first time, you're going to notice that stuff has a lot of grease on it. We've taken a lot of that off with my fingers here. So we're going to smear some back on there. The grease is going to put a coating on the metal. Not only is it going to help it run smoother, it's also going to coat the metal to prevent rust. So you want to make sure that that's done. Our next piece, we're going to put this gear back in there. It goes right through that bearing that we just replaced. And slide that back in there. This piece is going to come back around, one that has a little piece of rubber holding it on. Drop that into place. Go ahead and take your worm gear. Feed that back down. And the bearing just slides right over top of that. You can go ahead and turn that, make sure everything's turning freely. Then we're going to go ahead and put this back together. Now remember, the longest screw went farthest away from me on the very front of the reel. Go ahead and put that back in. And don't tighten them up yet, just go ahead and put them all on there. come back once we have all 3 of them in and tighten them up again. Alright, so those are all tightened. 3 Boca bearings in there. And there's this notch here, a little piece of metal that's stuck up. You notice it on this side. We're going to go ahead and line that up. With that, you should see that the screw hole lines up with the post on there. Once we have that in place, we'll go ahead and put back on our anti-reverse bearings. Same thing with this, don't tighten it up all the way until you have 3 screws in there. Got them all in there now. Go back and just snug them up. Don't over tighten them. Alright. A little bushing drops back down over there. And we're done with this piece for right now. We're going to go ahead and take apart the arm. There's a screw in the back of it here that holds it all together. That's the only one we're going to need to take out on this. Once you have that removed, just lift that over to the side. And all this will come out of there. Now, the bearing is inside here. Again, just take your Q-tip or whatever you have to pop that bearing out of there. It's a tiny one. And we'll go ahead and put in our last one here. And put a little oil in it. Once we have that on there, put a little washer on. And go ahead and put that back into place. Put your screw back in. Snug that up. And we're going to go ahead and put this back on the reel. Put the nut back in there. Make sure you don't cross thread this. I'm going to take it out. Okay. Put that back on there. Take your pliers and just barely tighten it up. Doesn't need to be real tight. Okay. Now there was a small hole there that this screw went into, and all that does is keep that nut from turning until you're ready to take it apart. It's on the opposite side of the weight. Now we got that back in. Go ahead and take your drag clicker. Push that all the way down. Take these little shims. And slide that down. Now that we got that on there, we can go ahead and replace the spool. Drag. And put our handle back on. Replace that cap. And that's it. We have 4 new Boca bearings in there. Reel feels real nice. It's smooth. Like I said, it's not going to offer you the performance of longer casting by the nature of a spinning reel, but it will, in kayak fishing or any type of saltwater fishing, it's going to greatly increase the life of it. These bearings will not rust, they will not corrode, it's less friction on them, and it's supposed to be smoother casting, or I'm sorry, smoother retrieving. Steel is actually, or ceramic is actually stronger than steel is in the ball form, so the bearings are actually stronger than the standard stainless steel bearings on there. These are ABEC 7 bearings. It's the highest ABEC rating is ABEC 9, which is a military grade precision, which are really expensive, not really needed. But ABEC 7 are regular consumer bearings, but the highest standard of bearings. So these are very precise in the roundness of the balls. And so anyways, I hope this video was some help for you. If you're not replacing your bearings, you know how to take a spinning reel apart, but I highly recommend you put a set of Boca bearings in there. You can get these again at www.bocabearings.com. If they don't have your reel on there, email them and they should be able to set you up if you're able to tell them at least the size of the bearings. But if not, they have a ton of different reels on there. They should have your reel. If you have any questions, comments, comment below. Let me know what you think. If you didn't come here through my blog, check that out at www.laserfishing.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching.